Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. This is Mandy Corey, your host of the Sippin' on Stories podcast. I'm so delighted that you're here for another episode. Raise your hand if you are absolutely loving the summer. I know that I am. I always feel like things are going to calm down and be a lot more relaxed once summer comes and everyone's out of school. And once again, I realize that I'm wrong. We are in the full swing of summer, busy running around doing things, but it's been so fun. And I just am loving the sunshine. And I'm excited. We have a lot of fun things planned for the summer. So it's been good so far, and hopefully will continue to be good. We are going to just jump right into today's episode. For our story today, we have McKenzie Guyman on, who I have followed on Instagram for quite some time. I reached out to her, asked if she'd want to come on and share a story with us from her life, and she said she would. I will not give too much away about what it is, other than that this is one of those episodes where video probably would have been good because most of my reactions weren't necessarily audible, more visual. I was making all sorts of facial expressions to the things that she was saying. She probably couldn't even see that much because I'm hiding behind my microphone, which is big and covers up quite a bit of my face. But I was making a lot of faces through it, so I'll be curious if you are too. So here is McKenzie for our episode today. I started following you back when you and Sadie did the 5 Senses Friday. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that's been like
I'm like,
a
how long
time.
ago was that?
Yeah, because that was before both of us moved, so it would have been in, oh gosh, I think I moved in 2015, maybe?
Yeah, I think it was before I had my first child, and that was in 2016, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was 2015 or it might have been 14 actually.
It's a long time ago.
It was a long,
Yeah.
long time ago.
Okay, my question to everybody is what their favorite drink is. So what would you say yours is?
Mine, I would probably say is vanilla Coke Zero.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like it's like the answer from Miss Congeniality because I'm like, it's not too sweet, but not like overly bitter tasting like Coke Zero. It's just right, like almost like not too hot, not too cold. All you need is a light jacket.
Yeah.
But no, I just like a classic Coke Zero taste, but just like a little sweet in
The
there.
vanilla. It's probably
Hmm.
like my original first, like, dirty soda-ish was that. That was usually my
Yeah.
go-to.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I'm surrounded by dirty soda places now in Utah, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll try them and stuff, but
They are pretty
just like
sweet.
yeah, I just like a classic, just just a vanilla Coke is great.
Do you want to do like a little intro to who you are or what your story is?
How detailed of an intro do you need? Like,
Well, I like any and all detail, and that's kind of what I
okay.
say with this podcast is every detail is wanted, and there's
Okay.
none that's too much. So,
Okay. Sweet. Okay. Well, I am Mackenzie, and I was born and raised in Idaho. We moved to Utah about 8 years ago. I have 3 kids. They are 13, 8, and 3, almost 4. And I am obsessed with music and always have been. That's actually like a huge selling point to me with moving to Utah was we were going to be way closer to concert venues. So that has been a great part about moving. That was
yeah.
a hard thing about living in a tiny town in Idaho growing up was just like the lack of being able to go to concerts. Um, yeah. So my story that I'm going to share actually starts like shortly after I moved to Utah, which It's kind of a nice segue.
Mm-hmm.
But so when we first moved here, I had a 5-year old and like a 9-month old. We had lived here for like almost a year by the time this happened. And all of a sudden, one day, I was getting in this like ritual of waking up early in the morning and I was like really into atomic habits and those kinds of things at that time. So I was
Mm-hmm.
like trying to just have these like good practices. And I would wake up early in the morning and I would do these stretches and like mindfulness exercises and stuff. And I noticed this was at the beginning of September 2018 that the light, when I would turn on the light, it was just like killing my eye. And it was so sensitive. And we're talking like I would get up before the sun was up. So it wasn't even that the
Really light
sun was out
outside.
or anything like and we lived in this crappy little condo so I did not have good we were basically in a basement apartment and so there was no extra light coming in so that was kind of my first sign that something was wrong but as like a contact wearer for you know at least probably a decade at that point maybe more than a decade at that point I was like, well, I probably just need to switch out my contacts or I actually remember going on my Instagram stories and saying something about wearing glasses and that I thought maybe I had like a little eye infection. I needed to give myself like a break for contacts for like a few days or whatever. And then it just progressed and continued to get worse. So at that point, I'm like new to the area and I hadn't gone to any doctor, like eye doctor at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just Googled like optometrist close to me and scheduled an appointment because I thought, well, at this point, maybe I need an eye drop or something. So I got in and the optometrist kept looking at my eye and he kept saying this phrase over and over again. It was like, it's the strangest pattern. It's the strangest pattern. And I remember thinking at that time, like, so do you not know what's wrong?
Like, what did he
Why do
mean
you?
by the strangest pattern?
Yeah,
Mm.
he was like, it's definitely inflamed and infected, but this is the strangest pattern. I've never seen this pattern before. Which didn't give me a lot of hope, but at that point, it's like, what else am I supposed to do? So he prescribes just an eye drop. And so I used that probably for like 2 weeks at this point. So mind you, it's probably been 3 weeks since everything started because I gave it about a week before going in because I thought it was just
It would get better or
maybe I
something.
had torn my contact or it was just old or whatever. So then one day I was at church and the lights in there were just so intense that I was like, I can't even be in here because this is just hurting so bad. And like anytime I would go outside or anything, it was just tears would stream down that one eye on my left eye. And I leaned over to my husband and I was like, I have to go. Like, I can't be here with this light. And so we started leaving, and there was another guy at church that was like, is everything okay? He could tell like something was wrong. And I'm like, yeah, I do not know what's going on. and we talked to him for a little bit and said a prayer and sent us on our way. And I just like had this really overwhelming feeling of like, I need to take a picture of my eye and I need to send it to my mom. And which, I mean, she knew what had been going on and
Mm-hmm.
stuff, but I like forced my eye open because I also couldn't really open it on my own. I forced my eye open and I took a picture of my eye and just sent it to my mom. She happened to have been at church at that same time, and there was a guy she went to church with that was a doctor that was a good friend of theirs, and she showed it to him. She happened to open the message like right as she was next to their friend, and she said, Reed said you need to go to an ophthalmologist. Like, this is really bad.
What did the picture look
And
like?
my eye was super red. And then my eyelid was really swollen.
Okay.
And anyway, you could also just tell like it was really watery. It was just not in a good way at
No.
all. And that was the first time I had ever even heard the word ophthalmologist before.
Even though you had
I just,
glasses, did you have glasses your whole childhood?
yeah,
Or
well, I got them when I was in sixth grade, but like I had only ever been to an optometrist to get like my eyes checked and get glasses and stuff, but I had never needed anything more than that. And so I'd never even heard of an ophthalmologist. But for those who may not know what an ophthalmologist is, I think typically they see older patients because they deal a lot with like cataracts or like people dealing with losing their vision or infections. Honestly, like you should go to an ophthalmologist anytime you have an eye infection. That's more in their sphere
mm-hmm.
than rather than going to an optometrist. I had no idea. So I had looked up again. This was like I didn't know where to go, but I had looked up an ophthalmologist and there was one in my area, and thankfully I was able to get an appointment relatively quickly. And I went there and he looked at my eye and he said, I think it's one of two things and it could be both.
Oh.
He said, it is either a parasite, herpes, or both. And he said, the problem is that I don't have the right microscope to know if it's the parasite. But he said the good news is that one of my best friends is also an ophthalmologist in Provo, which is about 30 minutes south of me, and I can refer you to him and get you in like as an emergency situation, and he can look with his microscope. And he's like, he started nerding out big time about this microscope. And he's like, this doctor, he's probably the best ophthalmologist in the area. And I was just so immediately so grateful because I had gone back to that optometrist, I think 3 times in those 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And every time he just refused to admit that he didn't know what was going on. Every
It's so
time it
hard.
was like, this is such a strange pattern. And he would, make I don't know if he was giving me antibiotics or if he was giving me a steroid at that point, but he would just make it stronger, but it wasn't
Wasn't
doing
working.
anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just really frustrating that at no point he said, you should see an ophthalmologist. This is above my pay grade,
Mm-hmm.
basically. But then I go see an ophthalmologist, and he's humble enough to say, yeah, like this is in my sphere, but I know someone better that could treat you better. And I think about that guy. I don't even remember what that ophthalmologist in between, what his name was, but I think about him all of the time and just thinking like he probably saved my eyesight that day
Mm-hmm.
by telling me, honestly, I know someone better that could better serve you in this. So
When
I
he had
ended up
initially
going,
said, oh, sorry, when he had
oh,
initially
no, you're
said
good.
parasite or,
Yeah, so he said it's either a parasite, herpes, or both.
and were you
And
panicked as well when you heard that? Like, I know you said you were
yeah, well,
grateful, but were you like,
I
that
think
doesn't
I
sound
was
good?
more just like almost a little relieved just because it was like, at least we're getting an answer. And it's not, this is the strangest pattern. Like it
Mm-hmm.
was, at least he seemed like he knew what he was talking about. And at that point, he didn't tell me the name of it. So I couldn't Google it. I mean, I could barely use my phone at this point anyway. I could
Mm-hmm.
hardly see. So uh, thankfully, I couldn't Google it because it could have been really scary.
Uh-huh.
But I remember asking him about, because to me, like herpes almost sounded worse just because like
It sounds
I hear
gross.
more about herpes
Yeah.
than parasites. Like when I hear of a parasite, I think of someone that has traveled overseas and, eaten something weird or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. So, anyway, I go to see Dr. Ward in Provo, and he looks and says, "You have a parasite." And he said, "You might also have herpes, but the parasite is so bad that we can't tell if you have herpes as well." The good news is that they both get treated the same. I mean, the parasite is going to get treated much more aggressively than herpes would, but whatever we're treating the parasite for is going to kill off the herpes
Mm-hmm.
in the meantime. So we got to, it's called acanthamoeba. I think it's acanthamoeba keratitis. I just like the full term. Most people just refer to it as acanthamoeba. It is a waterborne parasite, and contact wearers will get it from either swimming in their contacts, showering in their contacts, which I had not done either of these
Mm-hmm.
things. But we think what had happened was I cleaned out my contact case just with tap water. Again, another thing I'd never learned, like how to properly clean out a contact case. You're actually supposed to clean out your contact case with contact solution, not water.
Mm-hmm.
Had no idea.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was just from cleaning out my contact case from water. And if this gets bad enough, it blinds you. It can actually eat its way all the way to your brain. Like that's the end goal for it, is to like eat your eyeball and get to your brain. Um,
Did they say it's rare that that happens?
yes,
Okay.
they did say, well, the parasite in general is rare. However, since I have been, since I was diagnosed with it, and have been kind of public about sharing my story, unfortunately, I get reached out to probably once a week
Oh, really?
with someone, yeah, with someone, and it's all over the world,
Mm-hmm.
but with someone who has been recently diagnosed with it. The other kind of wild part that makes me a little iffy about the water where I live is that I know that my ophthalmologist has seen a lot of people since he's seen me, um, up to the point that he had seen me. I think he said that he had had less than five people that had had it, but I know at this point he's had a lot more. And I know there's been at least one other woman in my city. So it's
Mm.
not as rare. It's still considered like a rare disease, but not
Maybe
quite
not
as
where you live.
rare as, yeah. It's not like a this could never happen to me situation, especially if you're a contact wearer.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point he prescribed, I think there were seven prescriptions, and some were pills and some were eye drops, and they had to be refrigerated because they were like compound ones done at a compound pharmacy, and I either had to go 30 minutes south or 30 minutes north to get them filled because they were so like rare,
Mm-hmm.
these ingredients. And what was really wild was one of the times I had called to check to see if it was done. Um, the the pharmacy tech that answered, she's like, "Oh, are you calling about your mouthwash?" And I was like, "No, they're eye drops." And she looks and she said, "Oh, they are eye drops. They're just made with all the same things. Like
As
this is the
mouthwash?
same, yes, this is the same thing that we make like mouthwash for people who are like getting over like a mouth surgery.
Well,
So it's
that's
like an
interesting.
intense disinfectant.
And you're just sticking
And
it
so
in your
then,
eye?
yeah, so
Oh,
then at that point, I was Googling it because I was like, what is this? And it's also the same thing that surgeons wash their hands like up to their elbows in before doing surgery because it's this like intense disinfectant. It literally feels like you were putting hot sauce in your eye.
that's what I
It
was going
was
to ask. That sounds so
awful.
painful.
It was awful. And you had to, I don't remember, like it's been long enough now. I don't remember how often all of them had to be done, but I had to put some in every hour.
Did you just have to put it in the
Um,
one eye, or did they do it in the other?
mhm.
Okay.
No, just the one eye. I had to do it every hour for the first 3 days. So I had to wake up like every single hour for 3 days to put in eye drops. And then I was able to just have it be every hour that I was awake. And then it just kind of tapered off from
Mm-hmm.
there. But yeah, that was really intense. And it got to the point that, I mean, I had like a full chart that I would have to mark off just to keep it straight.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, 7 different medications, and you're taking some like 3 times a day. Some are on the hour, some are, I mean,
I'd get so
it
confused.
was, yeah, it was like a full-time job basically. And they all had to be, not all, but a lot of them had to be refrigerated. So then, um if we were going anywhere, then I would
Mm-hmm.
have like a lunchbox
With
with
all of them
my
in there.
little yeah,
Could you even
and if
drive at this point?
okay,
Or did you have to
so
get someone to go get all your stuff?
I think about this all the time. It's like one of those times that I'm like, okay, God's hand was definitely in a lot of this because I did drive. Um I had no choice. Like in this time we also moved to a different part of the same city, and it was further away from my daughter's school, and it we didn't get buses there, and so I would have to drive her to and from school every day. And I think about that all the time, that I'm like, I have no idea like how I did that
Mm-hmm.
twice a day.
Like you couldn't even open your eye.
And yeah, and the sun, so we ended up getting I called them my bus driver glasses, but they were like sunglasses that can go over regular glasses. And then they also have like protective lenses on the sides, because if any sun came from the side of my
Mm-hmm.
face, like on my eye, it was almost worse because so I ended up going blind. All of my peripheral vision was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And so the majority of the damage was on like all the left side of my left eye. So it was that peripheral vision. So if any sun was coming from the side, it was just awful. And yeah, I think about that all the time. That I'm like, I have no idea
Angels were just
how,
driving your car for you.
for sure.
Yeah.
And even just being a parent, like I I was still like actively content creating, and I was still actively like being a mom. And
To little kids.
I yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, to to littles. I'm like, I have no idea how I did that. I think some of it may have just been I didn't really have a lot of choice. Like we needed the money for me to be working,
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't just not be a parent. And yeah, it was rough. But thankfully, around that same time, my parents actually ended up moving to the same city that we're in. And so I had a lot of help from her, but I also had really good friends that would help drive me to my appointments and to the pharmacies that were so far away, because they were in the middle of the day and my husband was at work. So
Mm-hmm.
he couldn't just like be my chauffeur all the time. And anyway, it was very rough. Um, Eventually, the majority of the parasite was killed off, but um, it basically created like a layer of scar, or like dead parasite. I don't really know. It was just like a layer. And they the drops weren't able to penetrate as deep as they needed to. And so um, I ended up having to have a procedure done called a corneal scrape. And
That sounds great.
it was awful. Like it was awful. So what they do is, and I don't know if this is ever done not in like a emergency situation, so
Hmm.
maybe it wouldn't be as bad if it's not in an emergency situation. But because it kind of was, I wasn't like put under or anything, and you just lay there, and then they put numbing drops in my eye, and then there's a clamp that like keeps your eye open, and then they have this squeegee. It looks like a squeegee literally that you would clean off glass with, but it's a razor blade. And
It's like making my
they
insides like
I know it's so
that sounds
awful.
terrible.
Don't ever like look it up
I
online
don't want
because
to.
it has images and videos. But they literally scrape off like the top layer or layers. I don't even know how many layers to an eyeball there are, but they scrape off these layers of your eye. Um, and as it was happening, I was like, it was so weird because I could see it,
Hmm.
my eye is open, so I can see it happening. And I remember thinking like, oh, this isn't so bad until they took the clamp off, and then you're literally um, it's like putting salt in an open wound because, I mean, like your tears are salty.
Oh, oh yeah.
And so once I closed my eye, it was just the most intense, fiery, burning sensation on my eye. And I just remember like trying to play it cool a little bit with the doctor, and I was like, yeah, I'm okay. But inside I was dying, and my mom had driven me down, and we weren't sure how long my appointments ever were going to be, just because sometimes they would have these extra things they would need to look at or do. And so she had gone somewhere, and then I called her, and I was in this was a public restroom like in an office building.
Hmm.
Thankfully it was just like a one seater. I had gone in there and locked the door, and I was just laying in the fetal position just crying,
Lots of
and
salt,
I was
right?
like, yeah, yeah, lots of salt in my eye. And I was like, Mom, I need you to come get me, and I'm done. And she was like, "Oh my gosh," like she could tell something was really wrong, but I like couldn't really even talk. I was in so much pain. And so she came and got me, and I remember just putting like a coat over my head to keep any light out, and uh yeah, went on my merry way and went home, and just I could not open my eye for days. It was so painful.
How
It
long
was
into the
like
process were you from the first time you went into
this
the
was
doctor?
okay. So the first time I went to well, yeah, the last day I wore contacts was September 5th, and this happened in October
Okay.
sometime. So at this point, it had been like about 2 months of, yeah. And anyway, the good news is that the corneal scrape did what it needed to do. And because of that, then the medication was able to penetrate, um, which was great because that was kind of the last. I didn't know this at the time, thankfully. Um, that was the last ditch effort. If it would not have worked, I would have had to get a corneal transplant.
Mm.
Um, so I'm really grateful that it did work, but I'm also grateful I didn't know that it was that
Yeah.
bad. Just because I think I would have been really, really scared. But yeah, thankfully it did work out. I just continued going. I mean, at this point, I was going to the eye doctor like every other day.
Hmm.
Then slowly those appointments started to taper out. And it went until March, the following March. So at this point, it had been like 6 months, and that's when I finally got I say this in air quotes, a clean bill of health.
Mm-hmm.
The parasite was officially gone in March. However, herpes is forever.
Wonderful.
Uh-huh. Herpes is forever. So, I
And they
for
could tell at
the
this point you did have it for sure.
yes,
Okay.
yes. So once they were able to kind of cut through a lot of the parasite, they're like, yes, there's absolutely herpes here. And so, I mean, it's basically just having a cold sore in your eye.
Mm-hmm.
And so the issue with that is that my scarring from the parasite went all the way up to um, my pupil. And so, thankfully, when all of that like crap got cut out from the corneal scrape, that actually made it so I could see my peripheral vision again.
Mm-hmm.
But there was so much scarring over there that the doctor was really worried that if I had a flare up, like a herpes flare up, that it would cause the scarring to go further into my pupil and then I could go blind. And so he has just ever since then um, continued to have me be pretty aggressive with treating the herpes. So I take a pill every day and do one eye drop every day just to prevent getting a herpes breakout in my eye.
Mm-hmm.
The positive is that I don't get cold sores
Yeah.
because it's treating for the same thing. So I don't ever get cold sores or cankers really, which is great because I love sour candy. So I can eat all the sour candy I want without getting cankers.
That is
But
one benefit.
yes, yeah, all you have to do is almost go blind.
Yeah.
But the like seriously amazing end to my story is so every year I don't go to the optometrist anymore. I only go to the ophthalmologist now and just go for my annual visit. And this year, when I went in March, he told me that I don't even have scarring anymore.
Oh, wow.
That doing treating the herpes like so aggressively and doing those steroid eye drops every day has made it so that the scarring has disappeared. And he said, unless I like knew that I was looking for it, I wouldn't know that this was there. And so I have like my eye is just a normal eyeball now,
That's like
which
a
is
miracle.
it literally is a
Yeah.
miracle. And it really did like make me realize how grateful I am to be able to see. Like it's I we just take it for granted so much. I just remember like looking at my daughters at the time and thinking like I'm glad I have one good eye because if I do go blind, like at least I'll still be able to sort of see them.
Mm-hmm. That's so
And
sad. That's even something that you had to think about.
yeah, it is
Yeah.
really sad, but it also like makes me grateful that music has always been such a big part of who I am and part of healing from anywhere from like a breakup to celebrating
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. And so I was really grateful that I wasn't losing my hearing because I was able to just like lay down with my eyes closed and listen to music.
Yeah, you've
And
shared about how you, oh my gosh, what is the band that you like?
21 Pilots.
I almost said Imagine Dragons.
Yeah,
I'm like, that is not it. So,
it's
yeah.
not. But yeah, yeah, they had an album that came out right as my I got my diagnosis, and that was like, I mean, literally the entire album's about like creating a world like in your brain
Mm-hmm.
and as an escape, and that's literally what I had to do because I could not see. And so now it's like tattooed on my body
Yeah.
and yeah, it I'm really grateful for the role that music played in all of that so that I mean I also look back and I'm like, I don't know how I didn't become insanely depressed, but again, I think there was a lot of angels
Mm-hmm.
helping me at that time because yeah, it was really hard. It was really hard. But
And have you not worn contacts since that day?
so now I have dailies I don't wear them very often, but I did learn that
Are
the
those just like the
odds of
one-time
getting
use ones? Okay.
Mhm. The odds of getting a parasite from contacts go down. I feel like he said it was 95%. It's at least 90% if you do dailies, because then chances are you're not wearing them in that many water situations, and you're
Mm-hmm.
definitely not putting them in a case. So, yeah, I won't wear them. I wear them a lot to skateboard just because my glasses will fog up. So I have worn them a lot more in the last like 6 months since I started skateboarding than I had in the past. But yeah,
I feel
it's
like I'd
just
have
one of those things.
PTSD, not want to do
Yeah,
that.
and
Mm-hmm.
thankfully, when it comes to glasses, like now there are so many cheap places to get glasses online that now it's just kind of become like a fun style thing
Mm-hmm.
too. And I can get super cheap, super cheap glasses and feel like it's an accessory and just kind of embrace that
Yeah.
life. Because yeah, and I'm also not a candidate for LASIK anymore. Had I done LASIK before all of this, I would have been fine. But um, yeah, the I had asked my doctor about that, and he said, "Could I do LASIK on you? Yes. Would I advise it? No."
Yeah.
And he was mostly concerned about dealing with infection and creating more scarring. I don't know if that would still be the case with the scarring disappearing, but I'm
Still.
happy the way that I am, so it's fine. Yeah, that is my very long-winded story. I'm so sorry. That
Oh,
was so long.
no, I love it. I can't believe it was that long ago. When you said it was,
Yeah,
what'd you say, 2018? Is that what you said?
2018.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah,
whoa, I thought it was like
I
3 years
know.
ago.
Yeah,
But
I know. It is wild. But also I feel like if it was 2018 to 2019 and I'm like I only had like less than a year of normalcy before COVID. And
yeah,
so then we all got to experience medical trauma together. But
yes,
yeah, yeah, wild times.
yes, very. Thank you for sharing it. I'm
Of
like,
course. I know.
hopefully,
I have tried to use my presence online to really help bring awareness of that because like I said, I didn't know what an ophthalmologist was. I didn't know how to take care of my contacts. Like
that's a
I feel
very
like
simple thing to do to
yes.
prevent a
And
lot.
so many, I mean, I was like 12 or 13 when I got contacts, and there are so many like young kids that get them, and they don't they're not really taught like
Yeah.
this is what you need to be doing because it could be serious, you know? It's almost like it's like wearing a helmet when you go ride your bike or whatever. Just it doesn't have to be this like big thing, but it could literally save your life.
Hmm.
And yeah, I'm grateful that I still have my eyesight because I have been sharing my story so much online. I've met a lot of people that lost their eyesight or lost their cornea, and yeah, it's really sad that that is such a common thing to happen with this like rare disease that isn't quite as rare
Yeah.
anymore. But yeah,
Shout out to the good doctor
I
that
know he's the
helped you.
best. Matthew Ward, man, he's the best. I'm obsessed with him.
Well, I'm glad. Do your girls have wear glasses?
My oldest does.
Okay.
She's 13 and she just got glasses this year.
Hmm.
And it did kind of feel like I did feel like a little bit of PTSD coming creeping up just knowing that like she could wear contacts in the future, and that
Hmm.
was a little freaky, but I had to remind myself like, okay, well,
You have
if
the
and when the time
tools.
comes, yeah, if and when the time comes, then we can just do dailies and
Hmm.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Is it more expensive? Yes, but it's better than it's
What you went
definitely
through.
not more expensive. It's definitely not more expensive than getting a
Yeah.
parasite.
Did your
That's for sure.
insurance pay for any of those things?
Yes, but they insurance can be kind of weird about compound pharmacy or like compound prescriptions.
Yeah, my
And
insurance wouldn't pay
so,
for mine when I needed them.
yeah,
Yeah.
so there, any of the compound stuff I had to pay out of pocket, and some of them were like $200 a piece.
Mm.
So it was, yeah, it was a lot. It was just a lot all around. But yeah, we made it.
I'm grateful you're on the
It's
other
fine.
side. Everything turned out good.
Me too.
Yep.
Me too.
You have a great day. Thanks again for doing
Well,
this. I really
thanks. Thank
appreciate it.
you so
Yeah.
much. I appreciate it.
We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Okay, bye.
All right. So how many or like facial expressions were you making during that episode? I need to know. Specifically the part about the like squeegee scrape thing over her eye. I literally felt my insides like, ugh, like I just could not think about that very, very much. It made me squirm and feel not good. So grateful I haven't had to have that experience for sure. I can only imagine what this was like. You know, when you have like an eyelash stuck in your eye, or really what's more annoying is when you feel like you have something in your eye and you can't find it. So instead you just keep rubbing your eye, feeling like you're going to get something out, and your eye just turns red and it's irritated all day. And so that's really probably what's bugging your eye. But I can never stop thinking about it. That and something going on with like my mouth, like a tooth pain or something. It's all I can think about, and it's so annoying. So I can only imagine having something like this where I can't even open my eye. It's red and irritated, and then having to constantly put all these like painful eye drops in my eyes and all those things. Can't even imagine. Sounds like it would have been literally miserable. So glad that she's not having to take care of that anymore, and I really hope that anybody that's listening has not experienced that, nor will you. Hopefully, and I hope that I didn't instill a fear of wearing contacts. I don't wear glasses or contacts, but I feel like if I would have listened to this, it would have made me probably paranoid when it comes to cleaning my contacts. So if you wear contacts, just use your contact solution, not tap water. That's the moral of the story, so that you do not end up with a parasite in your eye. All right. You're going to hear my 2 cents. I haven't done it in a couple of weeks. So you're going to hear my 2 cents of, if you have a story, please reach out to me. I would love to hear it. It does not matter what the story is. Reach out. Go to my Instagram at Sippin' on Stories Podcast. You will find a highlight where you can submit a story. If you do not know what kind of story you may have to tell, I have another highlight with some possible prompt ideas to help spark your memory of some experiences that you have had. You can also DM me on Instagram, and I should be able to see it if you don't want to go to the highlight and do the Google Doc form. Or if you do not have Instagram, or you do not get on Instagram, don't want to interact on Instagram, you can also reach out to me via email at sippinonstoriespodcast@gmail.com, and I can hear from you that way as well. So go ahead and do that. I would really appreciate it. I would also really appreciate it if you followed the page, interacted with me on the Instagram, share the podcast with your friends. You guys, you can share it on your social media, send a text message, share it that way. Anything is helpful. Comment, subscribe, follow, whatever it is, to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening to this. That would also really help me. I appreciate anybody who has rated the podcast so far. Love you guys. Even if you haven't, still love you, but really appreciate if you would do that. So have a great week. We will see you again on next Tuesday for another episode of the Sippin' on Stories podcast. Bye, everyone.